potential move long-term 2016-17 versus making any potential run now?
Yeah, it's trying to measure the impact of, say, a free agent to be and what he can do for you for 2 months of the regular season and 1 month of the postseason versus when you trade a young player in Jonathan Barrios. You know, what is Aramis Ramirez's impact going to be over the next hopefully 3 months versus what Jonathan Barrios could do for the next 6+ years once he becomes a major league player, and organizational depth, industry depth, organizational need. I mean, all of those things factor in, and we felt that that was the right move for us. 5 years from now, Jonathan Barrios may be pitching in a very meaningful role for Milwaukee. Aramis Ramirez will be in year 4 or 5 of retirement, and some of you may be questioning the move that we made at that time. But the big thing for us is that balance of short-term need, short-term impact with our goal of remaining competitive as many years as we can in the future.
Have you noticed that the asks, last year we saw that young major league talent was what teams wanted in exchange for some of the bigger names. Is that played over into this season, or is it back to maybe more prospect-oriented packages? Or is it just a case-by-case basis?
Case by case, there's still the clubs that are looking for near ready or ready or current major league talent in return for their players, and there are other clubs that are looking more just best available prospect, and they'll take a shot at the ceiling versus taking a lesser ceiling prospect that's closer to the big leagues or maybe currently in some kind of role in the big leagues. So, but it's more case by case. I don't know that we're going to see the same major league for major league talent that we saw late, but I didn't anticipate it a year ago, and we recognized that it was heading in that direction. But there were still a number of prospects for big league deals on the table that didn't come to fruition, and it'll be interesting to see what plays out this year as well.
From your experience this time of year, does activity go in bursts, and can that affect your activity on a team standpoint, making calls and fielding calls, that type of thing?
You know, from our standpoint, we have a strong feel for what we want, what we're willing to do, and when that matches what the other club wants, then a deal comes together, whether that's 10 days in front of the deadline or 10 minutes in front of the deadline. That really doesn't shift for us. In other clubs' cases, you know, typically there's a few moves early, and then there's a flurry the 24 hours leading up to the deadline, and I would anticipate the same this year, but we continue to make the calls we're supposed to make and continue to try to have as much of a feel for the market as we can, and if something needs to get pushed, something needs to get pushed, or if a club's not willing to be pushed, they're not willing to be pushed, and there's only so much you can do on one side of the equation.
One guy that's worked out in the trade is Stephen Brawl. Why do you think he's performed so well since coming over? What has led to his success?
I mean, our scouts love the athleticism of a two-sport athlete or a two-sport player. I mean, a two-way player in college. So there was some athleticism there. They liked the feel. They liked the upside, given that he wasn't a pitcher only from the age of 10 on. And they thought that there was more there, and Steven's done a nice job. Our pitching coach has done a nice job getting to know him, and he can pound the zone. He's got pitches for strikes. He's got pitches for weapons, and he's continued to develop.
Has Tyler Glasnow kind of taken his game maybe a pretty big step in terms of development in Altoona in the last month?
Yeah, the last 2 starts are indicative that he's as healthy as he's going to be. Guys are never 100%, and that's such a misnomer that guys need to get back to 100%. They're never 100%. Once the season starts, really, once they have their second day of spring training, they're no longer 100%. There's always something that's achy or it just doesn't feel quite right, and Tyler's back confident and comfortable, and you see that in the quality of his fastball. You see it in his last 2 outings in particular.
AJ essentially acknowledged some regression is due for him the second half of this year. Internally, with your guys' numbers, how much do you expect him to progress from that great first half?
I mean, AJ, it wasn't like AJ was throwing 97 and just blowing people away. AJ was commanding his pitches. He was mixing his pitches very well. He was down in the zone. He had a remarkable first half. But